Bad news for Terence Bud Crawford. Your Dennis Ugas could possibly face Errol Spence and maybe even keep his belt. We're going to talk about all that and more in this video. You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Listen up. I do not know how you found my video on YouTube, but somehow, some way you made it. Please help others find the content by throwing a like on this video. Share the video, throw a like, subscribe. Leave me a comment. These are great ways to show that you're here, real people, and I'll put out more content. Now, bad news for Terence Bud Crawford. He just beat Porter, became the first to stop him, stays undefeated, remains with his belt. Now, here's the funny thing with Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford has been a champion since he moved up into the welterweight division. Now, there's a recent interview where Bomac was saying that basically Team Crawford took the easiest route to the first title. Now, this is on record. This is not my opinion. This is what Bomac said. He says it was already right there based on what Crawford had done at the 140-pound and being undisputed. They had a shot straight away and kind of kept it in-house. Pacquiao lost to Jeff Horn, even though he really didn't lose, in my opinion. But on record, he lost. So that's a crazy picture. That's a crazy picture. As a result, they said they went after Jeff Horn, right? Now, the conundrum for Crawford and his team is it's been that way. It's like you've been a champion since you've been at the welterweight division, and you can't unify. You signed and re-upped with the side that really didn't have welterweights to feed you. All the top welterweights are 95% of them in the last 5 years or so outside of Crawford himself, because he can't fight himself, are with PBC. And then there's a couple like Jaron Ennis. He's not technically a PBC fighter at the moment. Virgil Ortiz, and they would fit in that other category. However, outside of Crawford himself, when Pacquiao left, I want to, it's up to my promoter, Bud Crawford. You know, after Pacquiao left, it was like really slim pickings. And now you see Crawford fighting guys that Errol Spence already beat. That's an actual fact. Kell Brook and Sean Porter were Crawford's last two fights, 2017 and 2019. So different spaces of each respective fighter's career. Now, the bad news, I know, drum roll please, is your Dennis Ugas is putting these cryptic messages 35 minutes ago. Hashtag Pacquiao Ugas, a historic night for me in Cuban boxing. Now, the position is this. Ugas, like, he really was upset because he beat Pacquiao. He wasn't supposed to fight Pacquiao. It was supposed to be Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao, but Errol Spence had a detached retina, right? So, of course, they're not going to risk blindness and Errol Spence's vision, so he was forced to withdraw from the fight. Late replacement. Shout out to Premier Boxing Champions, both Fox and Showtime. They seem to have a great protocol for when someone fails a VADA test or a COVID test or pulls out with the injury or whatever, because they have like a backup in plan. So it just shows you the planning that is considered beforehand. Anywho, Ugas retired Pacquiao. Pacquiao said he's going into politics, being with his family and whatnot. Great performance. He looked sharp. I thought he really dominated Pacquiao. Pacquiao already gave us a lot of great fights. But the problem is the WBA was trying to force Ugas to fight against Stanionis, who just signed with Pro Bellum, which probably makes it harder to make that fight. I'm not a promoter or whatever, so I don't know, but it's not. Stanionis was like kind of in-house on PBC cards, so him jumping ship to a whole different project, really an MTK shell company and Pro Bellum, who knows how hard that fight would be to make. So it kind of messed up the plans, because the plan was that Errol Spence has first dibs on the winner should he be healthy. And Errol Spence, he looks healthy. He pulled up to the Crawford Porter fight, seen some pictures. His eye looks good. It doesn't look like he has a lazy eye or any styes or glaucoma or anything wrong with his eyes. So you guys got to excuse. I know I've been long-winded explaining this, but there's a lot of new people that watch my channel for the first time, and I'm trying to give them the chronological order. So if this is not news to you and you already know, I apologize, but we get a lot of views per month and we get some new faces around here, and they don't know all the backstory. So I have to kind of recap certain things. But the best thing you guys can do, yes, you at home, is subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest, so you can get the videos in real time and keep up to date with what's happening in this beautiful sport, the best sport. I am your one-stop shop, Boxing Ego, for all your boxing needs. So bottom line is Yordenis Ugas, after defeating Cuba, he was being forced to, the WBA made this like pact, and they say, oh, we want to consolidate and get rid of some of the belts that are throughout boxing, and we want less titles, which you probably should have just never made the titles, but that's neither here nor there. Then they try to make Ugas fight Stanionis, which again, Stanionis just paired with Pro Bellum, and he'll probably be fighting in Dubai and all this stuff. So I don't even know how likely that is. The plan was for Errol Spence Jr., should he want and should he be healthy, since he was pulled from the Pacquiao fight for obvious medical reasons, he gets a shot at the winner. And he told you he would, if I go back to Errol Spence's post where he was announcing the Pacquiao fight, that's literally what he said when he pulled out and had to withdraw from the fight. He says he's gutted, and at the end of the day, he wants the winner, right? All this stuff I went over and covered. He says, I came back from worse. I went to 3 doctors, but they all said the same thing about his eye. I'll be back for the winner for sure. I was taught to get through it and keep going. So he says he's a warrior and he's been through worse. Probably losing at the Olympics, maybe his accident. This is just a bump in the road. He's been injured before, whatever. So he said he's a soldier. So really, that's the fight. It's an in-house PBC fight. Errol Spence got 2 titles. Ugas got 1 title. So it finally leads me to the title of this video. Why I'm saying bad news for Terence Crawford is because Ugas, he is apologizing to the WBA because, again, he spoke out on the WBA for their decision, saying, why should I have to face a tournament? So he and his team have requested or petitioned to the WBA to ex-nay that and allow him to fight in a unification for 3 belts and possibly the Ring Magazine belt, based on the performance that Ugas gave over Pacquiao and what that fight would represent. And this is what Ugas says. Tomorrow, the WBA is going to make a decision on my team's last attempt to lead me to the best fight possible. He's clearly referring to Errol Spence. And one of the biggest fights that PBC can do in the 147-pound divisions, that they have invested a lot of time and money. I worked hard for 10 years to earn a belt in sports. So, Ugas, you got to, with the WBA, if they don't allow him to fight Errol Spence, I think that's a travesty, I think it's a travesty because it's an easy fight to make. It's clearly bigger than Ugas versus Stanionis, and Ugas has been a game competitor, and every step of the way he has been willing. He fought and beat the Ray Robinson, he took his losses with Top Rank, got discarded like Top Rank sometimes do if you're not a big name fighter and you lose, right? And he worked his way up. He even fought Pacquiao and played the understudy and fought Pacquiao with like an 11-day notice and beat Pacquiao on top of that and beat him impressively. So it's like, it's wrong if the WBA doesn't do it. But on a positive note for Ugas, he says, on the other note, if anything I said was hurtful to, this is the president, Gilberto Mendoza, family, that was not my intention, and I personally apologize. If anything I said was offensive, WBA Boxing, thanks. So he's already making amends and saying, my team, we've done everything in our possible power to try to get the Errol Spence fight. Now, the reason I say bad news for Terence Crawford is because Crawford is on vacation making videos about Errol Spence, who has really been quiet, sidelined, probably just watching his weight, spending time with family, you know, watching Gervonta Davis fight and other, you know, people he's checking for, chilling out. And then you got Terence Bud Crawford. He's making these oceanic fish videos saying, oh, Earl, I'm looking for you. And depending on what the WBA announces this week, this could be bad for him because he's doing this call out, but it might already be written. They might already have a decision. And if they decide to do what's right and allow Errol Spence, Ugas to actually unify, which it should be the case because unification should trump, like Donald, it should trump any type of mandatory or some fake tournament that they just made up because they want to consolidate. So there's a chance. There's definitely a chance that they approve Ugas, Errol Spence. I heard maybe February, March, spring 2022. And I think that's a great fight. So meanwhile, what is Terence Crawford going to do? You know, he can make all the videos in the world and say this and that, but literally his last two opponents have been guys Errol Spence already beat, Kell Brook, Sean Porter, years ago. And with Errol Spence, if both teams can solidify this power move, then what does Crawford do? What does he fight Josh Taylor? Does he fight Virgil Ortiz Jr.? I mean, I don't know. I really don't know what he does because he'll really be sidelined and have to wait for Errol Spence and Ugas. You know, that's the reality of it. That's the reality of it. And, you know, we'll see how it all plays out and what the WBA decides. But this is the right move if they do decide to allow them to fight. Because, first of all, Pacquiao and Spence were supposed to fight, and everybody was anticipating the fight. And you don't want to take no chances with somebody's vision. So he had to withdraw. So he deserves a big fight, Errol, and it would be a unification, and it would be a bigger fight. I mean, who really cares about Ugas versus Stanionis? What network would you put it on? What city do you put that on? Errol Spence versus Ugas, now that's different because you got choices. Ooh, like E40 said, everybody got choices. Errol Spence versus a Cuban? Yup, right? Everybody, Errol Spence, he big out there in Texas. He could sell in Texas. He showed he could sell on the East Coast and the West Coast. So you got some choices on where to put that. Stanionis, you know, he's a solid fighter. He a good little fighter, but I mean, it don't really make sense, and it's not a bigger fight for sure. So PBC, it looks like behind the scenes they're working. Like I said, Terence Crawford, he's a BA, a bad fighter. He's dope. But he making videos and people are trying to sew and cook and, you know, sew these threads together behind the scenes. So if you making videos doing a call out and the plan is set for Ugas and Errol Spence, then all those videos are really for nothing because you calling them out and you're going to have to wait for the winner or whatever and try to fight the winner. And then what are you going to do in the meantime? Crawford only fought one time this year. And he had to wait. Looks like he may be finally leaving Top Rank, which is what people said they wanted to see him do. So I can't wait. I can't wait to see what is revealed and what is announced and whatnot. But I do think the Errol Spence, Ugas, he said, and you got to respect Errol Spence. Errol Spence stayed true to everything he said. I remember I was in New York, Barclays Center. Errol Spence, he was like, he looked bigger, but he looked muscular. He had like a navy blue like tight form-fitting shirt on, and he said yeah, the Crawford fight there, man down, but I'm gonna clean up my side of the street. He can do what he's doing, clean up his side of the street, and then we can meet in the middle. And he stayed true to that. And only do you see, and I'll probably make this in a separate video, only do you see the anti-PBC crowd and the Errol Spence, Heyman haters, and you know what I mean, all that get mad at a company for making the in-house fight when they want to, which is so much easier to facilitate. It makes no sense. But I'll save that for another video. Subscribe if you love my content. I'm the best out. We work it. And I'm out. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster.